Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mr. Sports. I am Xander Frost.
I'm Andrew Lynn.
And we are coming at you to recap an exciting NFL weekend and talk a little bit of NBA, some NBA noise here, Andrew. A lot of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, a lot going on in the Mr. Sports universe.
In the Mr. Sports cinematic universe, which we own the properties of all of the major sports. So we're finally bringing them all together Avengers style for this podcast.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's exciting. And one of us will, I guess, die at the end.
One of us is going to die at the end, but don't worry. They'll be on Disney Plus. On Mr. Sports Plus, there will be a prequel series.
It's a weird, sad time of the year when the NFL's winding down because it's exciting that the games are so important, but it's coupled with this is it.
I know, and we're gonna hit that mid-season NBA, a game, nobody's really trying.
But it's weird. I think it'll pick up and then go back down because right now it feels like people are trying, but they're still getting into the season. So there's gonna be about a month of really deciding who are the teams.
The teams are very close in the NBA this year. They're very close, and also with the little play-in tournament, a lot of teams are still in contention here.
That's true with that little play-in tournament, huh?
Yeah, and we have so much that cute little play-in tournament.
Seed, okay.
I mean, it is going to be cute. It's going to be cute to watch the Kings play the Pelicans for the 8th seed. It'll be cute.
Is it single elimination?
Gosh, we should know this. I think
right?
I think it's single elimination. Here, let me. It's so fun. I just read about it the other day. Okay, hold on.
Structure and format.
Maybe
see. Yeah. 75th regular season. No, okay. All 5 teams from within a division will play all 5. Oh, wait, that's something else.
Okay, hold on. As for the play-in tournament, the winner of a game between the teams with the 7th highest and 8th highest winning percentages will land the number 7 seed in the conference. The loser of that game will host the winner of a game between the teams. Yeah, that's okay. So 7 and 8
it's one game at a time. 7 and 8 play, and then 8 and 9.
7 and 8 play, 9 and 10 play. The loser of 7 and 8 plays the winner of 9 and 10. So it's basically double elimination.
Oh, okay. If you're in, that makes sense. I thought it was just 7 and 10 versus 8 and 9.
No, which makes sense which is basically what they did this year, where it's you had to get beat twice if you were the higher team.
I guess that's fair because if you're already in there, it's a little bit more all right, we had the 8th seed. You can't just beat us once.
Yeah.
Or especially the 7 to 10 seed. That would suck. But also
that would suck.
It's funny too in the NBA because it's exciting, but it's not like the NFL. Those teams are gonna lose in the first round, almost surely, and if not the second round. There's no real Cinderella in the NBA. It's a playoff just to get beat by the top seed.
But injuries or whatever, it's possible to have a little bit of chaos. But I like that. I think that's fun. Joke I always what.
I think it's a good strategy along with the not de-heightening, but the flattening of the odds for the lottery.
Yeah.
Because it really makes you God, we can't really tank, or it's if we tank, we have pretty much the same odds with the 1st or the 4th worst record. But if we play a little bit better, we could actually get to the play-in game. So it seems like they're actually working on anti-tanking stuff.
The problem is that the 10 seed, if they were to get in, would be slaughtered by the 1 seed.
Yeah, unless it's a Blazers last year situation where it's injuries.
Right, but part of why the Blazers were there is because of the pandemic cut down the regular season.
Yeah, but say a team maybe the Blazers this year, or who's a
you're saying you need a team that had devastating injuries early that it was coming on at the end.
Yeah. Like, hopefully you're not getting like a fading, like the Spurs are like starting to fade into obscurity, but they end up with the 10 seed.
I mean, the biggest problem is just if the quality of the playoff series is bad, because there's been so many whack NBA playoff series.
You mean in the past few years, or like last year?
Yeah, even last year.
Last year it was weird. Yeah, it was either a really good series or like a team just dominated. I guess
the
that's
Lakers
how
basically
it goes.
rolled. The Lakers like rolled to the championship.
Yeah, but when you're just one of the greats of all time.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
No, it was impressive. But yeah, I know what you mean. But also, but like Nuggets,
it was
Clippers
impressive, but they weren't even playing. They didn't end up playing the Clippers, and I was so bored, bro. Like I found the playoffs. Everybody's talking about the bubble. I thought the games were boring. I thought the playoffs were boring.
There was some great match, like the Heat. Raptors Celtics was good. Went like 7 games. Nuggets Clippers was crazy.
Raptors Celtics was good.
The Jazz versus the Nuggets was great. That went 7.
Jazz Nuggets was good. Jazz Nuggets was good. Celtics Raptors was good. Clippers Nuggets was fine. I mean,
it's exciting that they came back. I mean, that's enough. I mean, not every series is going to be great. Even I think Heat. Celtics
the bigger thing is that
right?
the Lakers destroyed everyone they played. No one was really at no point did you feel like the Lakers weren't going to make the finals.
That's true. And then against the Heat, I mean, that could have been a better matchup, but then, Dragic gets injured and Bam gets injured.
Yeah, that was a huge bummer. But, like, if you compare the Lakers' title run to even those Warriors runs, at least the Warriors had those insane Rockets series.
Just that 1 year, though.
2 years. They had 2 competitive series against the Rockets.
I thought the second time they played the Rockets, it was more of a done deal. It was like
but those games were still close. You still had that Durant shot.
Yeah, but that was more of the done deal of like, we know that the Warriors are just rolling.
I think that's a little. We weren't sure. I mean, my bottom line is that the
only way they could lose is this team just mathematically was like, we're going to shoot so many threes that just it's like a statistics game. We almost won.
My point is just that in those Warriors runs, you always had Cavs and Rockets, except for that last Warriors ring. That one definitely felt like they kind of rolled over everybody. But
yeah, and like the Cavs didn't have Kyrie. It sucks because those Cavs teams were like so good. Like historically, they're maybe one of the best teams ever. It's weird in a season where you're just defined by the other teams. Like,
you think they're better than those Spurs teams? They went to 2 back-to-back finals.
In 13-14, probably up there because the Spurs didn't have
those
anybody
Spurs
like Kyrie. I mean, Cavs got like LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, Tristan.
Those Spurs teams, the offenses on those Spurs teams, those were like some of my favorite offenses ever.
But that would have been a good matchup. But they lost to even the Heat with LeBron,
Duncan,
and like a more decrepit Dwayne Wade and Bosh.
They lost to the Heat because of a miracle, and then a bad decision at the end of Game 7. They had the game locked up. Then Duncan's not in. Bosh gets the miracle rebound to one of the greatest shooters of all time. He hits it like that was a miracle that they lost the first one. They were better in the first year, and then they obliterated LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh in the second.
By then it was like Wade was like on one leg.
But
Bosh
my point is
like
that even when they were still good, it
was very close matchup. Like the Heat won. It was a miracle.
It was a 50-50 series. That was a coin flip series.
And I would say like that Cavs team was probably better than that Heat team.
That Spurs team is aging very well. They had Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, Kawhi, Diaw,
but
Danny
that was
Green.
Younger Kawhi. He wasn't like quite the Kawhi that we know. That was Danny Green that was still good though. But then it was an older.
Yeah, it was younger, but it was younger Kawhi, but it was Finals MVP Kawhi. I mean, it was the start of the Kawhi legend.
He was like the Finals.
He couldn't
MVP,
shoot.
But he wasn't like
just couldn't
the
shoot
Spurs MVP of that season.
No. But I'm just saying, I'm like, you look at the team and you're like, damn, like people
But
are
I
going to be
think the
talking.
Cavs could have competed with them because the Heat didn't have anybody like Kyrie. Like Kyrie at this point was kind of in his prime versus Wade,
That's
who
true.
was just like the injuries were piling up. And then Love Bosch is maybe a wash. Maybe a wash.
Bosch is
Maybe a
better than
slosh.
Love.
I would take Bosch over Love,
Bosch
but
is
I
better
would
than
take
Love.
but I'm
I
taking Kyrie over Wade, like way more at that point in their careers.
yeah. Yeah.
I feel like LeBron doesn't get enough credit for, which I'm obviously biased, but it's like after 2011, like Wade just started to break down. He was pretty good in 2012, and then by 2013, because they went on that win streak, it was like that team was breaking down by the end because they went so hard in the regular season. And then by the Spurs series, he was like 70, 60% Wade.
The funny thing about Wade was that I remember in college, so like between 2010 and 2014, watching like a video analysis of the way he ran. And
Dude, I think I saw, was that versus how LeBron ran?
I just remember they were like, look at how the way he runs was like so bad mechanically.
Yeah.
And they were like, this guy cannot last. There's no way he can last.
I
running
remember
like
seeing
this.
that video because I know what you're talking about, and I remember them, or maybe it's a different, but they said LeBron ran really well, like he ran, and for some reason in my mind I was like, because I'm a LeBron fan, the way I run is good.
Wait,
So I'd be like, my knees are gonna be okay. Like for some reason I incepted into my mind.
you think that you think that you just naturally run like the player you're obsessed with?
It didn't like make logical sense, but I would be like jogging or like playing basketball, and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna be okay, even though my knee's kind of hurting because I actually run this way, but it's actually LeBron. But I just the math, like I short circuited, and I was like, I don't.
I mean,
I'm
honestly,
good.
Andrew, if you are doing things identical to LeBron, yeah, you're going to do pretty well over time. If you truly are running and shooting a basketball in the same way that LeBron is, yeah, I would think that it's going to go well for you long term.
It didn't. My knees, it's like I can't. I already am like can't really do shit.
Yeah, well, so that maybe you're not so LeBron-esque after all. All right,
I
let's
think I'm
talk
more
about
Dirk.
this.
I modeled
Let's-
my game after Dirk. I do the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like last 2 seasons, Dirk.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going around. I'm underpaid. I'm
Lots
like
of
wondering what
ovations, but
happened.
not much production.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about the football weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we got in the weeds here. So obviously, AFC NFC Championship games. The Super Bowl is set. The Buccaneers defeated the Green Bay Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs defeated my Buffalo Bills.
Man.
Hey, it's they didn't come to play. As we were saying before we started recording, the Bills did not. They weren't ready. They weren't ready to be there. They weren't ready for that.
They
that
looked
game.
ready at the start. It was like, all right, here come the Bills offense that we've seen all season.
I mean, yeah, but field goal, and then obviously McCole Hardman fumbles the punt. But other than that,
That's
I mean, it
true.
was not.
It
There
was
was not.
It was a solid drive, like the opening drive.
It was.
It did
It
stall
was.
out, but
The reality is, first of all, like the Chiefs' defense is pretty good. Those D-backs, like they were
Chris Jones
Not-
makes plays.
not a lot of daylight for those wide receivers. Josh Allen seemed a little tight. I think, to me, the headline, and as I've been ranting about in every group chat I'm in, is you go for the fourth downs. They went for one early, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, Bills, like we're here. And then to settle for 2 field goals on those fourth downs, you're not stopping Mahomes. There's no evidence that you're literally choosing between -4 points or a tie potentially. What's the difference?
Because I think, but was it like both times the Chiefs went down and at least got a field goal?
Yeah, they definitely put points on the board. So it's like, okay, if you go for the field goal, you know that they're going to score, and you have to make up points. You have to make up points. So to me, it was like what's the difference really between the field goal and not converting on fourth down? you know? Like,
Yeah, it truly felt like they were just playing to make it a respectable losing score.
and I felt like
at
that
least
set
we
the
won't
tone.
lose by 30, we'll lose by
I
20.
mean, overall, I thought for a team that was coached so well the whole year, McDermott came in and I thought that, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Like he choked. I mean, going for 2 at the end and missing and keeping it a 3-possession game, and then they get the onside kickback. I mean, and obviously Tony Romo was making the point. Listen, yes, you are going to have to go for 2 eventually, but think about the momentum change if it's a 2-possession game and you get the ball back. And then you come down, and then you're like rolling, and now you got a little swagger, and maybe the Chiefs get a little tight. And instead, we got the ball back, and then they're shoving each other, getting a penalty. Pathetic. They still could have scored. Like,
and they weren't like completely out of it. They were just hitting them like, fuck it, who cares? But it was like, yeah, you have like a 1% chance of winning, but especially some of us who have, money on you getting another touchdown.
Yeah,
there's chill the fuck out.
There's people who have money on the game, Buffalo. Come on, Bills.
Yeah, I mean, because I had a bet I told you about. It was like over 2.5 touchdowns for all 4 teams. And was that not the lock of the fucking? I mean, literally every team had like 3 or 4 touchdowns except the fucking Bills. They kicked 4 field goals. But yeah, it's like if you don't kick, I think I was telling you. If you don't get those touchdowns against the Chiefs, you're not going to beat them anyway. No. It's not like they were locked. It wasn't like this close game where it's like we've actually kind of been holding Mahomes in check. It was like he is torching you, dude. You have to just try to score or you're going to lose anyway.
You're not even. I mean, we got pressure on him like 3 or 4 times, and he still. And those were plays where he was completing for like 30 yards.
Yeah,
and
he looked fucking great.
Tyreek Hill was also eating. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were eating the defense alive. It just doesn't. You're playing to lose. You are not going to win. You're playing to lose.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's like, does it feel better to only lose by like 17 instead of like who cares if you lose, right? At least like we went out there and just because say you only got 1 of those touchdowns when they went for it twice, that's still 7. That's more than 6.
Exactly.
I don't know. And you're giving them no room. They'd start at like the 4.
Game is a hell of a lot closer with even one. That's a bigger point. Like even one more point, right? Let's say you get one, turn one of those. You miss one, you get one, you get a touchdown. That 1 point makes it a 2-possession game instead of a 3-possession game at the end of the game.
And you just feel good, right? You're like, it's not like the Chiefs are like the 85 Bears. I mean, their defense is not like that good. You got down there a bunch of times.
I mean, and
you got a big, huge running quarterback. Just fucking run, like do the fucking play action boot, go to the right, and he'll run it in or he'll toss it up to Knox.
You could feel the Chiefs were like, we're better. And this is neither a, this is not a grit and grind podcast, and this is not a stat head podcast. This is right in the middle, right? This is
about no man's land, okay?
Yeah, we're right in the middle. But come on, you watch that game and you could tell the Chiefs were like, it's like you're admitting defeat. It's like you're showing weakness, like the Chiefs were like eating them alive. You could tell the Chiefs were like, we're better than them. They're playing to lose. We're much better than they are. And
they're like,
they were throwing some cheap shots too.
Field goal again? And they kept waving at them, like waving by. I know. Disrespectful.
It was totally disrespectful. It was horrible. But at the same time, it was disrespectful. It was pissing me off. But then at the end, I was like, the way the Bills are so tilted, like they've so lost their cool that I like couldn't even be mad. I was like, they're fighting and getting penalties when we should be scoring the ball and trying to get the ball back. Like they've given up. Like they should kind of get it. And again, I say this as like, what an amazing season. And these Bills players played awesome all year. And
like with hindsight, you'll be like, that was I did not think they were going to the fucking
It was awesome. And those Bills players are awesome, man. They gave it their all. It was just frustrating. It was just a frustrating conclusion. Like that's all. It was like, you just wish that you wish that game felt better. You wish that game felt like it was leaving everything on the table. But yeah, to be clear, like I will say I love that the O-line fought for Josh Allen. I mean, that was pretty dope. That bodes very well for the future of the franchise.
It felt good. It did seem like Chiefs tried a line, but then you saw like Allen threw the ball at that guy's head. It was like, all right.
Yeah, but the Chiefs, somebody on the Chiefs like punched a Bills player early, didn't get caught. I mean, the Chiefs were chippy all game. I mean, and not getting called for it. They were taking shots and they were roughing up Josh Allen every time they could. I mean, remember when they laid out the Bills punt returner right before McCole Hardman's dropped his?
Oh, you know what? I went to I took a shower because I was like walking on my treadmill. I got sweaty, and after the Bills' first possession, I like ran to take a shower. Or no, I was making guac. I don't know. I took a brief break, and the Bills had already got the ball back.
The Bills kick returner got late, didn't call fair catch, and got laid out.
Okay.
And then on the other side, McCole Hardman bobbled it.
Okay, I did see that. Yeah, it was weird because at the beginning of the game, I came back. I was like, "Oh fuck!" The Chiefs went 3 and out, and now the Bills have the ball. Like
I know,
that's not good.
That's why I was. Yeah. Anyway, that's why it was frustrating. But again, proud of the Bills. Was an awesome season. Definitely broke through a lot. Josh Allen's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Feel good.
Maybe.
He's only going to get better. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, they just got to get a running back. I don't know. Maybe they'll get Aaron Jones. I guess running back's not that important, but it would be nice if they could run the ball.
Yeah, I think, or honestly, maybe another receiver, maybe. And then, strengthen that defense a little bit. But I think I'm excited for the future of the Bills. Let's go over to the other game. Packers Bucks. Similarly, to me, the headline is some bad coaching decisions. First of all, you got that blown coverage at the end of the first half. I mean,
that was bad. I was watching and I was like, it'd be cool if the Bucks were like, fuck it, let's just throw one to the end zone. And then they like actually did. I was like, oh shit.
That was embarrassing. I mean,
yeah, everyone flew to the. I mean, I don't know. I guess, if you're the Packers, you're not expecting it, and you're just like, we want to hold to make sure they don't get further for the field goal. But yeah, everyone just broke free to the end zone, and they were not ready at all. There was 2 guys just standing in zone in the middle. They were just like,
I know it was. I mean, and then you had Scotty Miller 1-on-1 way ahead, and that was the difference in the game. That touchdown.
Yeah, I think that, and then coupled with like that Aaron Jones fumble, and then they score, it became like, all right, now we're down like 8-teen. We need Brady to really start fucking up, which he did, which was bizarre because I was like, all right, the only way Green Bay stays in this is, the second half.
Bad.
I mean, Jair was just making light work of him.
Yeah, I mean, so in this game, similar, I mean, these LaFleur, don't kick the field goal. Go for the touchdown. I don't understand. I understand that Tom Brady's played badly in the second half. You're giving the ball back. You have Aaron Rodgers, and you want to kick the field goal instead of going and give the ball back to the Buccaneers, knowing you need to get the ball back and still score a touchdown, because they were down 8. They kick a field goal to go down 5. For I think it was like 4th and 8, 4th and 9. In my opinion, you're going to need to get another touchdown. That field goal does not make it so you only need a field goal. You're still going to need another touchdown. So you have to go for the touchdown, because if you don't get the touchdown, it's the same deal. You still have to get another touchdown.
Yeah, it's also like the defense wasn't really stopping the Bucks. They were just getting picks. And I don't think you can count on like, don't worry, we're going to give it to them and then we'll get another interception. It's like at some point, you're not going to get another fucking interception.
It's Brady.
Yeah. As bad as he was. And that was what was so crazy. They kept getting interceptions and then just 3 and out. And it was like, it was kind of like the Saints game But
Yeah.
they lost. But they were like, "Please beat us. Here's another chance. Come on, like score." And the Packers were like, "No, thank you. We'll go 3-0."
Yeah, that drove me insane because both the teams I was rooting for lost. And
The
yeah,
Packers
it was
just
just
looked a little tight in the red zone. It was like this free-flowing team that would just crush it. Just Adams, Rodgers and Adams all year. And then when Adams dropped that pass and they tried to force it to him 2 more times, it was like, uh-oh, this team is like all swag. And now they're a little bit like, okay, fuck, we're down in the end
Didn't you
zone.
think that Rodgers should have just tried to punch it in himself?
Yeah, I mean, in that play, like, I don't think he would have scored, even though, like, everyone has the graphic where it's, like, open. But there was 2 Bucs defenders there. Like, Rodgers is getting tackled by one of them, but he probably gains, like, 5 yards. Assuming that receiver blocks one. Unless he, like, holds them both back,
Yeah. I mean, it was it was a disappointing finale for 2 teams that were very exciting all year. The endings, and then that penalty. So let's talk about the penalty. I mean, yeah, that was a penalty, but they were not calling that. They were dudes draped all over Devontae Adams and Valdez-Scantling all game doing the same thing. That's what drove me crazy. It was like, you can't let them play all game and then call that at the end. Like,
yeah, that was annoying because, it felt like, and I don't know, because usually you watch, you're like, yeah, let them play. But I remember maybe because I wanted the Packers to win desperately to win money, but I was like, you can't just let them play. I mean, this guy, I forget what the play was, but he got fucking tackled. Maybe that was Kevin Knox. Maybe that's a bit, like, if you tackle, like, I get you kind of hold the receiver a little bit just for leverage, and that's not like a penalty, but dudes were like getting knocked over, and it was just like, so it's like, come on, man. You can let the defense play a little bit, but
yeah. It was hold on, who was I thinking? Oh yeah, Sean Murphy Bunting. That dude was all over everybody. He was covering. I think he was on Valdez-Scantling most of the game. I don't think he was ever really on Lazard, but he was on Valdez-Scantling, and I remember there's so many plays where you could have easily called the penalty, and I was like, fine, don't call it, but then to call it at the end on the Packers, lame. I mean, that's why you got to call stuff. You got to call stuff early.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it was a pretty egregious. Like, he grabbed that jersey, almost like ripped it out. But
he did, but it's like if you've been going one way the whole time, it just seems, I don't know. It just seems frustrating. All right, well, later this week we'll do a Super Bowl preview. And we'll make our picks, but not today.
Do you feel, didn't Adam Lazard seem like slow as hell? It was like every time he got the ball in space, he was so slow.
And he had some bad drops too.
Yeah, I was like, what does this guy do well? He's having like the worst good game like I've ever seen. Like, he's constantly getting some good catches, but he like had the ball in the middle of the field. One guy to like run around, and it was like me out there. I mean, he's like, ugh. And just goes down. He was like, fuck.
Hopefully we can get you a slot on that team next year. Hopefully Rodgers is still there.
Yeah, who's going to be throwing me the ball?
And that brings us to our next topic. So moving forward here, and I just want to say, obviously, very exciting Super Bowl. Brady versus Mahomes. It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Again, and my initial reaction, which is kind of how I felt about Green Bay, which is a little worrisome, but I'm like, the Chiefs should destroy this team. Like,
I'm gonna put I would bet on the Chiefs.
Yeah, it just feels like. Granted, that's exactly how I felt like after the Bucs barely beat the Saints, and I was like, Rodgers and them, they're gonna roll, and all those chances they kept giving them with the picks. I'm like, Mahomes is not gonna fucking go 3-and-out.
I picked against the Bucs, I think, every week. So I've been proven wrong every week, but I still think, if there's any team that can capitalize, it's the Chiefs.
Yeah, like Brady is going to have to play 4 good quarters. He can't.
But then at the same time, you're like, Brady knows if the Buccaneers win this game, the legend of Tom Brady will reach unbelievable. And the other thing that Brady knows is that if he wins this game, it completely tarnishes Belichick.
It doesn't help. Yeah.
It's like if he wins this game with a coach who's totally different from Belichick, like, I don't know. It just, for
And
his
to be that
career, it doesn't
old,
get much
too.
better.
To be old, because you got to think, like, imagine me like 10 years ago anywhere else. Like, I'm fucking winning Super Bowls as a 43-year-old man on a new team.
I mean, that's the incentive to pick. Like, Brady's going to be juiced up. He's going to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's your justification for if you don't think that if you think that, with all that's riding on it, Brady has to win, like he has a lot more on the line than Mahomes does. Let's be honest. I mean, they want to get a second ring because they're amazing, but, but yeah. Okay. So let's move on here. So we've got some, one thing we wanted to talk about, a lot of different QBs that could be on the move this offseason. A lot of scuttlebutt coming out, especially in light of the events of the Packers game last night. So we've got Deshaun Watson. Rumor is he wants out. We've touched on that for a few weeks here. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers says he doesn't know what the future holds. He keeps saying it's a beautiful mystery, and last night he emphasized that again. You got Matt Stafford.
Weird. It's a beautiful mystery.
I know.
Right.
But he's a dramatic guy.
Yeah.
Then you've got Matt Stafford, who he and the Lions have parted ways, and he is now on the market, apparently. And then, we're not going to really talk about them too much, but Drew Brees is probably on his way out, retiring most likely. Ben Roethlisberger, who knows? I think we probably think he's coming back again. But yeah, so a lot of big name quarterbacks that could be on the move here.
Yeah, it does seem weird that Rodgers, I don't know quite why he'd want to leave unless he's just like, I'm fucking just tired of being with Green Bay, because they have a pretty good setup. Like, I don't see why they couldn't run it back. Maybe after losing again in the NFC Championship, he's just like, I need a cultural reset.
He's also, I think, pretty over the Green Bay drafting Jordan Love. I mean, he's probably pretty still pissed about that.
It is annoying when you look at all the receivers that were good this year. And not that, I mean, outside of Devontae, it's like they really not. I mean, Valdez-Scantling is like drop city. Lazard's always getting hurt. He's fucking slow. I guess he's a good possession receiver, but he could have used like Chase Claypool or something. Obviously, it's easy to just who are the best rookie, but and instead, it's just like, oh, he's motivated by them drafting Jordan Love.
Don't you think that's kind of bullshit?
I think they would have been good. I think it did motivate him, but it wouldn't have motivated him as much as having like Chase Claypool on the team or like,
I mean, they could have had T. Higgins, Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
There were also a bunch of corners that went right after that pick. So they could have had some corners too, would just reinforce that KJ Hamler, another one, Chenault, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, obviously they have a lot of running backs, but there's just like they could have
running back in the second round, which is kind of weird because I guess Jones will leave, but they still got Jamal Williams.
Yeah, but at least that pick, AJ Dillon is good and has helped them win some games this year. I mean, I did find it really funny that somebody I was reading someone on Reddit or something said like, now the whole story the whole year was that we needed a wide receiver, and now everybody's saying we should have drafted a cornerback, even though no one was even mocking a cornerback or D-back to us this entire time.
Kevin King. I feel bad for Kevin King. It was just like, because Jair Alexander's so good, they just weren't going to throw his way. So Kevin King is just constantly getting thrown at. I mean, I guess he's still not that good, but you get the double of like, can you just throw it over there sometimes? I know he's good, but eventually people are going to make plays if you're throwing in my way every play.
But you got to be better.
That's true.
You got to be better. So I mean, okay, so do you think Rodgers is going to be in Green Bay next year?
If I had to bet, I would say yes, but I kind of hope he. I mean, I don't know. It is just exciting to see it. I'm a big free agency move guy, but I'm like, who? What? Like him? I
That's what
just
you're
don't.
known. That's what you're sort of your thing.
Yeah, I just don't know what the better option is. It's like I guess the Niners. It's cool, like him and Shanahan, but the Niners don't have like weapons like that, right? I mean, they have George Kittle, but it's not like. And their defense could be back. Maybe he just wants to keep.
So where would you like him to go? Obviously everybody's saying the Bears. Oh, the Panthers? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, there's no way they trade him to the Bears, right?
I mean,
like in division.
Depends if they think he's done or not.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. Like, what's a team that has good weapons that just needs a quarterback in there, like throwing it to the Broncos? But like all those teams, I'm like, if you're Rodgers, like, you really want to go play for the Broncos? Like, what are the chances they get their shit together for next year versus a team that's been back-to-back NFC championships?
I think he stays. I wish that this was more fun, but he's going to stay. But he's kind of scared them, which is probably part of his plan.
Maybe. What they should do is maybe trade Jordan Love for like I don't
know. But was he even active? I don't think he was active for a single game.
No. I don't even know what he looks like. He could be like standing right there. I don't even know what
I am Jordan Love.
What? That makes sense. That's why you can never record like during
I
Packers.
know.
I thought you're a Packers fan.
Well, no, but I'm missing all those games because I got to watch everything else to talk about it afterwards with you.
That's a good point.
All right, let's keep it moving here. So Deshaun Watson, we talked about this last week. Really quick, do you have any guesses?
Well, it sucks. I mean, obviously, I want him to go to the Panthers, but the fact that he wants to go to the Jets, they're saying now, like the Dolphins or the Jets, I don't get. The Jets just seem like such a dumpster fire of a franchise. And to be like, I need to leave the Texans' instability and go to the Jets feels like a weird...
You got to imagine he thinks he'll have a lot of institutional control.
Maybe. And people like that coach, Robert Saleh.
Yeah. They love him. And he's jacked.
Yeah. He's inspirational. Maybe he wants to get jacked and he's like, this guy will like hold me accountable. Whereas Bill O'Brien,
that dude's
was like, come
when
on,
I would
man,
watch those Niners games, I was like, this dude's yoked. I was like, good for this guy.
Why is that linebacker wearing a T-shirt in a headset?
Lineman, you don't get to have a headset.
Come on.
So yeah,
I would guess the Dolphins. But I don't know. I don't know if we.
I'd rather be in Miami. I'd rather be in
Houston.
Miami.
I would just be like, we're not trading you, man. I don't really care.
Maybe Deshaun's thinking that there's a little New York sports renaissance happening that he wants to be a part of.
That's true. Mets, although they had a little bit of a step back last week.
A little step back.
Comment too much,
2 steps forward, 1 step back there with the Mets.
Yeah.
But Mets, Yankees, Nets, Knicks, all have outlooks that are looking more positive going forward.
Yeah. The Knicks, I think, is fool's gold, but we could talk about that at a different.
Yeah. Either way, there is excitement around the Knicks that hasn't existed in years.
Yeah. The Giants. Honestly, the Giants would be a good.
With that defense?
It's a good defense. They got Saquon coming back. They got some good receiver. It felt like if they had a good quarterback, they'd be in it.
He was hurt. Daniel Jones was hurt.
Yeah.
All right, so Matt Stafford, the rumor, everybody thinks he slots in perfectly with the Colts.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense. It's in kind of like a weird blue Midwest uniform type of scrappy, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they mean. They mean just sort of aesthetically. It will be an easy transition.
Photoshops.
Yeah, that's what people. Yeah, because it can be really hard to lay a totally it would be really hard to do like a Raiders color scheme or a Niners color scheme over that pre-existing Lions.
It would look weird, yeah.
Because you'd have to adjust the shadows on the Photoshop and stuff.
And
maybe
his skin tone, I think, favors the more blue. He has a bluish hue to his skin. Although I don't know. Maybe the red. He's
He
Irish, right?
naturally is just kind of blue. He has trouble getting oxygen into all the parts of his body.
Yeah. Well, it's so cold up there, so maybe he needs to
It's
go somewhere hot,
yeah,
like Miami.
like
Well,
Miami.
the weird thing about Stafford, I do think he's good. Obviously, if I'm like for the Panthers, where you're like, is it cheaper to go get Stafford versus giving
Bro,
up, like,
Stafford would be pretty sick on the Panthers.
I just worry about his health. I feel like he's always hurt.
He is and he isn't. I mean, some of those injuries were freak injuries too, especially in the beginning.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
it's
like
like
that.
after dealing with Cam for the past few years, where it was just like a ticking time bomb. I mean, anybody's like at quarterback, it's tough to stay healthy.
But he could push a team like the Colts. The Colts pick him up. All of a sudden, you're like, that team is in contention.
I definitely think he's better than Phil Rivers.
For sure, he's better than Phil Rivers, and I like Phil Rivers. All right, so Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. Brees seems done, right? It's not confirmed yet.
I think even if Breeze isn't done, if you're the Saints, you're like, dude, we're not. Like, come on, man. We can't bring you back. You look like shit.
I mean, they're the only team that made it this deep in the playoffs that has 3 quarterbacks who like regularly played.
Yeah. And we're all like, good in spurts and also bad.
Love hearing Sean Payton. Sean Payton being like, we're gonna do like the Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston 2-pronged attack next year. Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
That's insane. I think we saw Taysom maybe just isn't it. But what was weird not weird, but seeing that Michael Thomas was actually really hurt the whole year. It's like, okay, that makes sense why he played so bad. Like he said he should have been on IR, but he wanted to play with Breeze for his final season.
Yeah. Who knows what's up with that dude though?
I do think if he just comes back healthy next year, I mean, he was like the top 3, maybe number 1 receiver in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's like him, Devontae, right? Like
Robbie
coming into the
Anderson.
season, it was Michael Thomas and Devontae were the best 2 wide receivers. Projected wise.
Yeah, I think so. And Hopkins kind of fell.
Hopkins. Now you'd put Diggs up there too.
You'd put Diggs. I feel like we're forgetting somebody huge. Not Julio, I guess. He's a little too banged up.
Who else would we be?
Well, DJ Moore.
I mean, Hopkins is the other.
I guess.
I'm
kidding.
I mean, like, Mike Evans has been good.
Mike Evans is a weird, like, he's good, he's big. You can't, like, he won't just, like, run a season,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess now you're probably thinking like, Justin Jefferson maybe next year.
Ooh, maybe.
I mean, Calvin Ridley,
this was
Julio. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's good. He's so fast.
DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Brandon Cooks. But yeah, to me, I mean, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, and Diggs, I think those are like the 3. If you needed a dude to go up and get a ball, those would be the 3 guys you'd want.
It sucks what's happened to Odell because he was like
phenomenal,
best, and he's just been a weird fit. I kind of hope they trade him. But
they did pretty well without him, and the bigger thing is that it just seems like he's a little, those knees. He's got problems with his knees.
I guess so. It is such a shame.
All right, let's keep it moving. So that's it for our NFL coverage this week. Up next here, Andrew, we're gonna talk some hoops. But first, I think you have a little betting tip.
Oh. Yeah, you know what I've been finding, and I've actually been making a lot of money this way. And maybe I didn't discover this. Maybe this is just something all the sharks know to do. But I've found with live betting on NBA games, almost always, like for a team that is the favorite, will just be losing randomly in like the first quarter. Or even like the other day, I bet on the Nuggets to beat the Suns. Because Booker was out. They had just won. I was like, Porter Jr.'s back. Booker's out. It's -3 for the Nuggets. I'm just rolling. I just think the Nuggets are going to win. And so I put some money on that. And then, the game starts. All of a sudden, the Suns are up by like 6. And then all of a sudden, the Nuggets are underdogs. And you can live bet just the Nuggets to win is like plus 130 or plus 150 or something like that. So then I was like, fuck, if I had just waited, and this happens in a lot of games, even more so like a good team, like a week ago. I feel like I could be more precise, but like the Trailblazers were losing by like 15 points to the Hawks, or a kind of bad team like the Hawks, and they were like 4-1 live bet, and you're just like,
so basically what you're saying
are a good
is
team.
wait to live bet till a team falls behind, till a favorite falls behind a little bit.
Yeah, because I've been constantly seeing these better teams, they go down early, then all of a sudden their odds just to win, not even like with a point spread, just to win, they become like 2 or 3-1, favored. And then the Blazers, they storm back, especially if they're a team with good 3-point shooting. You're like, all right, the shots are going to start falling. Nobody's injured. So more times
Seems
than not,
smart. I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, and like that game, the Blazers came back, and then you can get into like, can I hedge? Like once the Blazers are winning, and then the Hawks all of a sudden are 3-1, you're like, should I hedge? Should I roll out? The same with the Nuggets game. It was actually stressful as fuck because the Suns did come back, and it went to like double overtime.
But if you're getting good odds, it's worth it.
Yeah, if you're like the Nuggets is a better team probably with Booker out. If I can get plus, and it's like, I just think because the live things just can't keep up. It's like, yes, the Suns are winning by 6 in the first quarter, but I don't think that means like all of a sudden like the Nuggets are fucked.
Yeah,
And
that's dope. Hey, everybody, that's a hot tip. Especially, I think this season's so chaotic that it's definitely worth looking into for this season, because it's like that Jazz game the other night. It's like the Jazz were down early to the Pelicans, and we had some friends that were freaking out because they had money on the Jazz, and I was watching the game. I was like, the Jazz are still going to come back. Like,
yeah, I think
they
that's
look
another
good.
one where I did. Yeah, these really good teams, they just go down early for whatever reason. NBA, especially today, it's so up and down. Who's making their threes? And these the bad teams cannot sustain these leads almost always. Definitely not. If you think about just statistically, like, let's say half the time they end up losing, but you're still getting like 2-1. Like, I think you'll end up making money in the long run.
Folks, that's a hot tip.
Yeah, so just be on the lookout. It's made me feel dumb. Like, even like I was like, should I ever even take a team before the game starts? Like, now I have the Nuggets -3.
You got to imagine people are going to get wise to this, and it's going to get adjusted.
Maybe, but the way that live betting, I don't know. The only time you get fucked is if that team ends up just going up at the beginning and like winning by a landslide.
Right, but it's like, you be judicious with it,
Yeah,
like,
and that usually doesn't happen.
Yeah. I love that. Andrew, next week you're going to have to let us know how this went. See if this crashed and burned.
It's been good so far. Oh, yeah, we'll see.
So, all right. So, staying on the NBA here, this is a little bet between us. So, how many players, and let's keep this like top tier players, like top 6 on a team. How many players this year, Andrew, will have the offensive game of their career against the Nets? So let's say the most points of their career against the Nets. How many players? Because we've already had Colin Sexton.
One. Does that count as one, or is it like how many else?
That counts as one. So starting with one. And I want to point out, Andrew, I believe I mentioned this idea to you before Colin Sexton's game.
No, I think that was after. I think you said that.
Was it after?
It was like
well,
the morning
I thought
after.
it. I thought it.
You thought it before? All right.
Hey,
I'm not the fuck police, brother.
How many more? Fine. Let's just say how many total. So that's one. How many total will this happen to?
Well, let's see. How many games have they played already?
They have played.
They are 10-8, so that's 18 games in the 72 game season. So they have like 54 games left.
Yeah, let's say they might lose a couple. So let's
Yeah.
say like 50 probably.
Damn, that's a lot of games left. Like, I gotta think
Do you,
four.
all
I
right,
gotta
do you think it'll
four
happen
more.
like once every 5 games? Once every 5 games?
Yeah. No, that's once every 10, right? Like if there's 4 more.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
4? I'm going to say 6 more players.
Wow, 6 will have career highs. I can see it. It is funny this year. Well, maybe they do this every year, but I've noticed they'll be like, that was James Wiseman's career high in points. It's like, can you play for like half a season before I fucking in his 8 games, that's the most he scored. That's crazy. Like 13 points.
Here's why I think that the Sixers, I think that Simmons and Embiid could both. I mean, these are in division, right?
Yeah.
These are in division opponents. You got the Sixers, Embiid or Simmons could go for career highs. The Celtics, Tatum or Brown, or even maybe Marcus Smart goes off one game. You know, who knows? The Knicks, RJ Barrett. You know, he could have his career high.
Hey, guess what Jason Tatum's career high points in a game is?
I don't know. 45.
41. That's not that high.
He could get 45 against the Nets.
Get 45.
And then you got the Raptors, Van Vliet and Lowry.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's more likely a guard just because that's going to be the, Kyrie, Harden.
Because they can actually, also, Harden can kind of guard 4s a little bit, weirdly enough, 3s and 4s. They have no perimeter defense, and they also don't have somebody that can really clean up the paint. So it's like,
no.
For a nice guard with some ISO outside moves who can get to the rim, it's like that's a recipe. It's like if Kyrie went up against the Nets, he'd drop 80 points.
Yeah. Yeah, he really would.
Kyrie would destroy the Nets.
Yeah.
But that's my big thought is all the teams in that division, I mean, with the exception of, I guess, the Knicks, there are dudes on all those teams that you could see going off and destroying them. Norman Powell, even on the Raptors, you could see going off against the Norman Powell, OG Anunoby. I mean, and then, you also got, they're still going to have to play the Pacers and Brogdon. They're going to have to play the Bucks. There's Trae Young. I mean, there's in other divisions. There's
high.
Yeah, that's the truth. So
50.
I'm going to say 4 and you're going to say 6.
No.
And if it's 5, neither of us.
I got 4,
win.
you got 6.
Okay. I like that. This is a fun one. That's a fun
sure
one.
Embiid's going to put 50 up on them. Embiid is on a mission this year. And now that's the team, And they can't guard
Yeah.
The fact that they're trying to trade maybe
Embiid?
for JaVale McGee right now is so funny because they had Jared Allen and I can't imagine he was the difference between that deal happening or not.
They really, I mean, Morey, having the Sixers really drove that price up, didn't it?
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's why do you want McGee? I mean, you had Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. Oh, they're like, oh, if only we could get a Jared Allen type.
It's not gonna. Maybe we'll talk to the Cavs, the team that has Jared Allen. Do you have any Jared Allen types on the team? Oh, how about fucking McGee, JaVale McGee, who could
Drummond?
I don't think McGee was even playing towards the end of the playoffs for the Lakers.
No, he's DeAndre Jordan and JaVale McGee are kind of like birds of a feather a little bit. In that they're both washed.
Yeah. And no, you know what, dude? You know what? I think, and this shouldn't count, but was that Bam's career high in points that he just had?
Yeah.
Against them? 41, yeah. So it's already happened twice.
Wait, that was the Raptor? That was against the Nets?
Yeah,
that
was a day ago.
Does that count?
I feel like it should because since you said that and we weren't really aware. So that's 2.
No, that wasn't against the Nets.
Yeah. Heat.
No, what it was the Heat.
I know the Heat against the Nets. The Bam had
Oh, it was Adam. I thought you were talking about Anunoby. Oh,
no.
Oh, I didn't know Adebayo, because Anunoby also just had a career
No.
high.
Adebayo. No, I'm like getting the name. Had a career high points against the Nets 2
Okay,
days
cool.
ago.
So that's two.
Yeah,
that's
that's
two.
two already.
That's two. Because you saw Anunoby went off the other night too. OG Anunoby had an insane night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Adebayo
I
had 41. This
against
is
the Raptors. I've been
this is
losing
so
money betting
funny.
against the Raptors because I thought they suck, and now all of a sudden they're like good again.
They're back. I mean, we overreacted, of course. Every year you overreact.
Yeah.
It's so
and when you look at
stupid.
their lineup, it's like, yeah, this is a pretty good lineup. But like, I just lost to the
Yeah,
Pacers.
so
I was
that's-
like, oh, the Pacers are gonna fucking demolish the Raptors. They fucking lost.
The Pacers are good too, though. But Anunoby just dropped 30 on the Pacers in his last game.
Yeah, that was a tough
Anunoby can ball.
tough start to the day. But
Um,
yeah, and going forward,
So-
my theory, which is probably, I don't know. Look, we're not stat heads. If you're playing a team like the Sixers, the Sixers are not amazing offensively. We know it. But Embiid's having a career year. He's going to be completely unstoppable against the Nets.
he's gonna eat.
Yeah, and the Sixers defense is really good. I gotta believe like Thibault, I'm not sure. Seibel and Simmons could hold down, Durant and Kyrie. Not like they're still gonna put up numbers, but they have defensive players.
Wouldn't you feel so much better about the Sixers if they could just add a shooting wing, like a high level shooting wing?
You saying Tobias is not that? I mean, Tobias is having a good year, but
Tobias is good, but I'm saying it's like if you add obviously Beal would be dream scenario, but if you could put another shooter alongside Simmons, wouldn't that just fix at guard, a shooting guard?
if they were
like-
defensively good, like I don't know, because it's nice having Thibault for defense and then Seth Curry as the shooter.
That's true. I think the Sixers are pretty good, man. I think that they might be now a little underrated.
Well, yeah, because so it's like the Nets offense versus Sixers defense. That's pretty close. Like they're a little better, but the Sixers going to be able to
The
handle
Nets
that.
offense is better than the Sixers defense. The Nets offense is better than the
Yeah,
Sixers defense. Let's
but
be honest.
it's
Come
not like. But versus the Sixers offense is okay, but the Nets defense is horrible. So I believe in that offense
Specifically
being able to
to
score at ease better than like them destroying the Sixers defense. So I almost feel like the Sixers have a better shot.
especially because Embiid just destroys.
Yeah.
Like they have nothing that can slow down Embiid.
Yeah, because Embiid is a great free throw shooter, which is insane to be that
But
big, and he's like money from the free throw line. So you can't even.
you're gonna have to have some perimeter play though, because otherwise they're just gonna collapse and double Embiid the whole time.
With who, though?
That's
With
why
who,
Simmons.
But then, yeah, Curry's going to be
I mean,
open.
Durant-
Tobias is going to be open.
Yeah, okay, fine. So Tobias, Curry, and Simmons. One of them I trust to consistently shoot it outside.
I trust Tobias enough.
That's the fear.
I mean, but you can't really trade to like who's a great shooting defensive wing
No.
out there. I mean, it's not a lot.
Kawhi.
Yeah. If they could get like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, I mean, they could have had Tatum, but whatever.
I mean, who would be a good fit? Obviously Beal. The funny thing about Bradley Beal is that he would fit on almost any team.
Yeah, can you imagine? Well, what's the team Beal goes to that it's like, this is kind of weird. Like, I guess the Nets in a
Like-
way.
The Warriors or the Nets.
But couldn't he just take over Oubre's spot and like be next to
Yeah.
Seth? That might be or Steph.
What team would he not work on? He'd be a little weird on the Suns.
Maybe, but what they'd make? He basically take over like
Yeah.
What's his name? The young guy. I'm blanking.
The only team, you're right, the only team he wouldn't fit on is the Nets. Because literally every other team, you're like, if you had Beal, like worst case scenario, Beal is like an insane safety valve on any play.
Yeah, the team he's not working on is the Wizards. Honestly,
Well, he is working on the Wizards. he plays no defense, and neither does the team.
Westbrook is just it's getting sad down there.
It's sad. It is sad, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely sad. I love Westbrook.
Yeah.
Bro, the Wizards are 3-9.
Yeah. They needed, honestly, that COVID break. They just needed they needed that to just extend.
The only team worse than the Wizards are the 3-13 Pistons.
That's insane when you think about how bad the Pistons are, and then you look at the Wizards, you're like, oh, that's a nice little roster. Like, I think they could be, pretty good. It's like, no, that you are pretty much as bad as the Pistons. Only you were trying to be good. I guess the Pistons kind of were trying to be good too.
They do have a good owner, and that is a big deal. All right, so let's close up this riveting NBA chat. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about here is if you can guess we kind of touched on this. I want you to guess the Utah Jazz roster in order of who is scoring the most points.
Okay.
So who's number one in scoring?
Gobert, obviously the French dispatch. What do they call him? The French freak.
Is that your guess for number one?
Definitely Donovan Mitchell.
There you go. Number two.
Number two, I'm gonna guess Clarkson. My guy, Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year, your pick.
Feels like a steal because he
huge steal. He is so good. I mean, he takes these ridiculous shots and he actually hits them. I mean, this dude can shoot. This dude can rip it.
Where was that with the Cavs when LeBron needed you, man? But that was a lot of pressure.
He was a microwave last year though for the Jazz too. I mean, he was nice.
Yeah,
for
like
the Jazz
in the playoffs.
Okay, so
like, oh shit, it was like him and Mitchell powering.
Number
them.
two is Clarkson. Who's number three?
Number three, I'm gonna guess Bojan. What's his name? Bojan.
No.
Really?
No.
I don't know who else is on that fucking. Oh, Mike Conley.
Yeah. So Mitchell's 24.3, Clarkson's 17.4, Conley 16.4. Having a really nice year. And he's averaging 5.9 assists, 3.7 rebounds. I mean, I'm so happy. Okay, so that's number three. Number four is you were close. Number
Bojan?
Four is
how do you say it?
Bogdanovich.
Is it Bojan Bogdanovic?
Bojan Bogdanovic,
Okay.
yeah.
So close to Bogdan.
Bogdanovic, yeah. Is an injured man.
Cousins, right?
Yeah, dude, they're cousins. They're everybody named Bogdanovich is cousins.
Probably. I mean, they shouldn't fuck each other's sisters or something, just in case.
Hey,
I don't know if they were.
You know what? I think, Andrew, it's time you actually start showing a little bit of respect because it's pretty clear now that people from the Balkans are going to take over the entire NBA. So maybe you should be a little respectful if you want to still cover
I'm being respectful. I'm saying they shouldn't fuck each other's sisters. I think it'd be disrespectful to say, like, oh, they should fuck each other's sisters. That would be a bit crass.
Okay. What country is Bojan Bogdanovic from?
Latvia.
Well, who is the who's the Latvian star in the NBA?
Jokic?
No, Kristaps.
Oh, I was thinking. Okay.
So Bojan is Croatian.
Okay. That was my next guess.
And Bogdan is Serbian.
Wow. And Serbia is kind of the big shit, right? I mean, they got Sabonis.
There's a lot of Serbian players. And then do you at least know where Luka's from, right?
You've been to Serbia, right? Have you been to Serbia?
I go all the time.
It's cheap.
I really want to go to Serbia. I really want to go to Croatia.
Yeah.
But Jokic is Serbian, and Luka is Slovenian.
Okay. And if you were looking at a map,
so it's like
how many of those could you correctly point out if I gave you
I can identify every single country in the world.
But that's kind of your weird party trick, isn't it?
That is my weird thing. I do Sporkle quizzes and stuff. It's one of my favorite things. So
I teed you up.
But those countries are they're in the Balkans and then they stretch up and it's former Yugoslavia. It's this whole Eastern European block of
countries.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. And it's just it's a very conflict-filled area for many
a lot of beef
years, and now all these dudes are representing their countries in the NBA,
court,
which I think is
love
kind of cool.
basketball.
Okay, So Bogdanovich is for 13.5. Who's fifth?
Well, who's fifth? Can I even name? Because I don't think it's Gobert because I just feel like he doesn't score.
It is Gobert.
There you go, Gobert.
Averaging 12.1 and then 13.5 rebounds and 2.7 blocks. Honestly, he's very good. And then can you name number 6?
Him and Mitchell buried the hatchet, I guess. They seem like they're boys again.
I guess so. It seems like they're back. I feel like if you're Mitchell, like initially you're so pissed, but now it's like everybody got, you know what I mean? It's like it's at the beginning it was like Rudy Gobert's idiocy is what caused this.
Yeah.
But when it ruins the entire planet, you at a certain point got to be like, hey man, like
whatever. It was inevitable.
You know, whatever. Like
they both are brothers in arms now because they get like dissed by Shaq.
Have you followed? He's like telling people on Instagram to like 1v1 him and stuff.
Shaq
pathetic.
Is?
Yeah, he's like fighting with people. He like got mad at some artist who drew some artist like did a fan art of Mitchell dunking on Shaq. And Shaq like messaged him and told him to come like 1v1 him or something.
It's so funny when people like are shitty and then you react negatively and you're like, how dare you call, like all I did was like be mean to this guy. Now you want to talk shit? It's like, yeah.
It's Mitchell was totally disrespected. It's frankly, it's kind of that, let's be honest, it's stereotypically a boomer thing that, you know, whether that's truly boomers or not, but it's of like, I need to challenge the young player as if like, first of all, Shaq's barely watching the games.
Yeah.
And second of all, Donovan Mitchell, it's like that dude does not watch Donovan Mitchell's games. You know, he's not really, but we probably watch more of Donovan Mitchell than Shaq does.
Well, it's also lame because it's sort of hedging on like, I'm talking shit about you, but that's only to make you better. So it's like, just own one. Do you want him to get better? Do you think he's like, you don't get to be like, I'm shitting on you, but it's positive. So if you're bad, I'm right because I'm like, you're not good. But if you're good, it's because of me. It's because I inspired you.
I hate it.
Because that's what Mitchell needed. Mitchell was like, I'm just not motivated for this season. Like, wait, what? Shaq said I'm not? Okay.
Donovan Mitchell, who has been amazing literally since the summer league of his rookie season. You know, like who has literally brought it every moment of his entire career.
Yeah, it's also like, his his third year, fourth year? I mean, what the fuck do you expect? Like, it takes time to get good, Shaq. Remember when you got swept in the playoffs like every fucking year?
It's not like Mitchell.
2000?
Shaq was like an elite talent.
Yeah.
Like number 1 overall pick. Donovan Mitchell was like underdrafted. You know, he's the one that proved the haters wrong. It's ridiculous. It's like LeBron being like, the only reason why you're not good is you're not trying hard enough. It's like, LeBron, you've been the best physical specimen since you were 14 years old. You could have played
literally
in the NBA.
Shaq, and I love Shaq, and I would probably have the same career if I was him. He was just like, I'm big. I'd try hard sometimes, but I just am so much better. Like, you're not the guy that needs to be like, you need to work hard. I'm like, literally.
No.
That's the antithesis of who you were in your career, except for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
you played yourself into shape.
Yeah. I mean, you got surgery when the season started so you could heal on company time because you wanted to party in the off season.
Which I don't even care. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, but you can't.
Don't go at Mitchell.
You can't do that and then act like Kobe about, you know, take the Kobe like mentality of like, you need to work hard, da da da.
Man, can you imagine how much the Jazz love it? They had all this discord last year. People were worried, and now Shaq's coming at Rudy Gobert and Mitchell like an outside force, like unifying the locker room. They must be. If you're Quinn Snyder, you're like, yes, this is awesome.
And it was just so embarrassing for Shaq, I feel like, because I feel like he thought he was going to be met with like, yeah, I appreciate it, Shaq. You know, I need to work hard enough.
That's exactly what he thought.
Like, you know, young fella, I only said that because, you know, I need you to. And he was just like, all right, man. And he was like,
he literally said, he said,
Right, he was like, you know what you think? Like, it means nothing.
They're selling shirts
Really?
now. Like Utah Jazz shirts, yeah. which is
It was so
hilarious.
awkward.
I love Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell one of my favorite players to watch. He's amazing.
And
I love him.
I think it's good. Like, I do think it's good to like criticize play. Like, it's weird when you're just you're just constantly celebrating these guys to no end. But it was just a bizarre way to like.
Yeah.
Did he do that to
I agree.
KD too? Or what was the thing with Kevin Durant? Was that Barkley?
No, the Durant, that was Barkley. And Barkley asked a dumb question, kind of, and Durant shut it down.
Yeah.
Barkley asked a yes or no question.
Yeah. And he just said,
Durant
yeah.
gave him a yes or no answer. The difference between Barkley and Shaq is that Barkley actually can take a joke.
Yeah.
And whereas Shaq simply cannot.
Yeah, he's sensitive.
All right, I think we this is a long podcast. I think we got enough here.
This is like a two-parter or what?
Little two-part. Yeah, stay tuned. All right, so guys, we're going to be back at you later in the week with another episode. Follow me on Instagram at Xander H. Frost.
Oh, am I coming in there
Andrew,
yet?
follow Andrew at Drew
Yeah,
Print.
maybe follow at Mr. Sports. We got to do one of our like a giveaway soon.
Yeah, we are. We're building, guys. People that are with us, we're building. If you stuck through this, thanks, especially while we're reaching draft picks.
We should put like a secret.
Thank you
if
very
you
much.
actually listen to this whole thing and listen to right now, if you DM us, we'll give you like a
$5.
Yeah, the first person that
you-
DMs me, we'll give you $5 if you actually listen to this whole thing.
If you listen to this, if you're listening to this right now and you DM at Drew Print on Instagram, the two of us together will give you $5.
Which that's
Yeah.
good. That's like that's a McDouble with fries and whatever. 10 tacos.
You're making a little bit less than minimum wage to listen to the podcast.
I guess a lot less, depending on how much.
A lot, half of
But
minimum
that's
wage.
tax free.
All right, y'all. Keep an eye on our feed. Enjoy your sports.
Yeah.
Peace.